Hi, this is Ronnie Bincer, the Hangout Helper. This particular video is going to be about setting up your accounts to do Google Plus Hangouts on Air, the live streaming broadcast version of Hangouts. If you haven't seen the first video, go ahead and click right there, and it'll take you back to the prior video, which talks about setting up your Google Plus account to begin with, as well as establishing how do you run a regular Google Plus Hangout, which is now called a Hangout video call. But if you're ready to move forward with Hangouts on Air, let's go. Now, let's take a look at what some of the other things that we want to do once we've started our Google Plus account. We've done a regular Hangout maybe. We're going to go and do what's called a Hangout on Air, which is a live broadcast to YouTube or using YouTube. So let's move our cursor to the upper left to the big G plus, and then it flies out or pops up this menu, and you move down to where it says Hangouts on Air. So let's click on that. It brings us to the Hangouts on Air page. And you can see upcoming Hangouts on Air, or let's scroll down the page a little bit until we find the big button that says Start a Hangout on Air. That's the one we want to use. So we're going to click on it. And because this is the very first time we've done this, it's going to need to make a connection between Google Plus and YouTube. Well, guess what? We don't even have a YouTube account. We didn't make one. So it's going to make one for us. Let's go through and do that. So click on the blue button that says Connect Account. It brings us to a tab or a new window called YouTube, and it automatically loaded our username, and we're going to give it our password. That's the same password that, by the way, and username is going to be for all of your Google products from this point on. So we're going to click Sign In, and it brings us to the point where it says, okay, we're ready to build a new YouTube place or YouTube channel called Susan Sample. That's the normal thing that you are probably going to want to do. If you're not quite doing the normal thing, you might want to use a business or other name, and you can do that. But for now, we're going to leave it Susan Sample. We're going to click on the blue button that says OK. And then it starts our verification process, because this needs to make a connection between the two accounts and wants to make sure you're not spamming. So as a result, it's going to ask you to enter in some special codes. It's going to send you either through a voice call, through your home phone, or maybe your text phone. I'm sorry, your cell phone, and send a text. I'm going to choose text. I'm in the US, I type in my phone number, and then I click submit, and now I wait for the phone call. Oop, there's the phone call, there's our number, we type it in, and then we click verify. Now we're almost done. It's made our YouTube account, it's connected it, look in the upper right corner. If we wanted to, we could click. I want you to see here that we've got a picture. There's our profile picture, and there's our name, Susan Sample, but we're inside YouTube. So it's made the connection for us. That's pretty cool. So now I'm going to do a mistake. I'm going to do what many people do when they get to here. They say, well, I was trying to do Hangouts. I want to do a broadcast, so we're going to go to the button that says click broadcast. By the way, it's a mistake. If we click on it, it says, oh, you're already in a video call in another window. You have to exit that window before you can start this one, or close this one and go back to the other one. When we were starting out making a Hangout on Air, what we needed to do was verify and connect accounts, which we've already done that. So let's just close this window. And when we do that, we're back to here, and it says, okay, are your accounts connected? Let's do a last verification. We'll check the accounts. This used to say connect accounts. Now it says check accounts. So let's click on it, and everything's fine. And so we get to the point where we can set up our Hangout on Air. So let's get started with our Hangout on Air. We have to give it a title. You have to name it. That's required. You can invite other people, but you don't have to. Especially with a Hangout on Air, you probably want to start out alone, set things up, and then invite other people. But for now, we're going to give this a name, and we're going to call it My First Broadcast. And I'm going to skip adding anybody, because I'm by default, or Susan Sample by default is going to be inside this. In fact, who's going to be in it? Let's take a look. It says this Hangout on Air will be broadcast on Google Plus by the Susan Sample profile, basically. And it'll also go to the YouTube account named Susan Sample. So you're going to want to make sure that these things are saying what you want them to say. Otherwise, you should exit the setup and try to change things. This is looking good to me. So let's click on the green button that says Start Hangout on Air. First time you're in a Hangout on Air, you have to agree to the terms and conditions. There's a Google Plus, a YouTube, and copyright information. You might want to read through all that stuff, make sure you're cool with it. And there's an important warning that you are responsible for what goes on inside of a Hangout on Air. Fine. Check the box, agree to that agrees to the conditions, and then click the green Continue button, and there we go. We're now inside a Google Plus Hangout on Air, but we're not live yet. However, note in the upper portion there's a big red button that says it's preparing to broadcast. It's starting at 0 and it goes up to 100%. And once it's at 100%, it turns to this. It says start broadcast. But we don't have to start the broadcast right now. We're in an area inside the Hangout on Air called the green room. We are waiting. We're getting ready. We're getting everything set. We're inviting our guests in so that we can interview them and those kind of things. Then when we're ready, we can press the start broadcast button. But before we do that, I want you to notice something in the upper left portion. It says, by the name My First Broadcast, it says off air. See that over there? That means we're not live. That's one of the ways you can know that you're not broadcasting at this point. Okay, so now let's click on this start broadcast button. And it says, hey, you're going to broadcast publicly. And it's like, yep, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to click OK. And now it starts a countdown from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You get the idea. And it will count down. We're still not on air. See, it says off air still. We're just getting ready. And then when it gets to the 0, it makes 2 beep sounds. And then it shows you the red on air button. So if you don't hear those beep sounds, and by the way, after the second one is when you usually want to start. If you don't hear the beeps, or even if you do, you can check in the upper left corner. It says on air. That's how you know you're live, and you probably ought to smile and do your show. Okay, so now we've done our show. We're near the end of it. We're going to click. We're going to move our mouse over to the end broadcast area and then click. And now it's starting the ending process. So it basically ends right away, but it shows you that it's working on it. You might want to stick the smile and continue for a little while. And note, it still says on air until it stops, and then you'll see the words off air again. And that's where you know for sure everything's clear and you can chat with the other people in the Hangout if you like, and then get ready to leave. So in the upper right corner, we click on the exit button, and it takes us here. It says the Hangout on Air is over. We can go right to the YouTube video manager and see that video on YouTube and do some edits to it if we want, like adding a better title or adjusting things. Or you can close it. Most people close it, so let's just do that. Let's close, and we're right back to the Google Plus Hangout on Air page where we could start another one if we wanted to. But I want to do is I move my cursor over to the big G+, it pops up. We'll drag over to the profile, and now we're back in the profile. Oh, there's the video we just made. Yep, you just made a live Hangout on Air video that is automatically recorded for you on YouTube, and you can watch it right here if you like. So that's it. Now you know everything you need to know to get going with Hangouts on Air, that live stream broadcast that automatically turns into a video. Pretty cool stuff. If you want to keep up with all the latest with Google Plus Hangouts and Hangouts on Air, add me, Ronnie Bincer, the Hangout Helper. Go ahead and add me to your circles. If you click right there, that'll take you right to my Google Plus profile, and you can add me to your circles very easily right there. Looking forward to seeing you next time.